Yes people, and welcome to this slightly different video for this channel. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm a jump up drum and bass producer, and one of the previous videos I made was on how making drum and bass bootlegs is easy. And essentially what the purpose of that video was to show was that if you pick a good song, generally speaking, making a bootleg out of it isn't going to be too difficult because all of the hard work is, or most of the hard work is pretty much done for you. So what the purpose of this video is kind of riding off the back of that and to show bootlegs can be easy to make in other genres of music as well. Now, in front of me, this is a bootleg I did of a song by Passalou. Funnily enough, I discovered this song in one of the FIFA games, I think it was FIFA 22, which ironically is the same place I discovered the song that features in the drum and bass bootleg video. Now, I'm going to be straight up with you. I'm not a house music producer. I have played about with house music, but I've never released anything. I've never had any tunes played out. I've never sent any tunes to anyone or anything like that, so bear that in mind, okay? Also, I will admit I don't know much about house music at all, so this to me sounds like it could be tech house, but then again, I'm not the best person to ask. So do let me know in the comments if you're a house head and this is tech house and I have got this right. So what I'll do is I'll quickly play a clip of this song and then I'll go over it. Now, one thing I will note is there is not much in this project at all. If you compare it to the drum and bass video I did, the projects in those ones are stacked with tracks compared to this one. But as I've already said, I'm not a house music producer. I made this song for a little bit of fun when I had some mates coming over to DJ on my decks because they're into their house music. But I want to reiterate, it was a bit of fun. And the purpose of this video is if you're getting into music production or maybe you're a drum and bass producer and you want to try something new. Again, the purpose of this video is to show, well, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Anyway, enough of me waffling. Let me quickly run through the track.
You know smoke must spark anywhere. Anyhow, how many missions wanna cheat or cat? Be a rise of a shooting star. Living la vida a loca, so I must be them the looker. Because you two-faced for me, you're bad. Because you told things don't mean you shoot. High energies, body head top loose. I guide me, I don't follow no rules. I fuck that, hold that gun to the death for me. Snakes in the grass, hella scheming. I'm trying to take off heads, yo, that's why you breed them things. Self-conscious, brother, you need to love yourself. Gliding, you know, gliding, 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 gliding. Any kind of smoke man gliding, gliding. Any kind of war man gliding. For the money I'm gliding. Hey girl, move your back, stay gliding. Any kind of smoke man gliding. Any kind of war man gliding. For the money I'm gliding, gliding, gliding.
Okay, so I'll stop it there because you're getting the idea. I mean, I have got, as you can see here in the original track channel, I've got 3 versions. The long version, which has got like a big old, 32 bar intro before it drops where the vocal comes in. And I've also managed to find the instrumental for this track. So I also created a version where it is just instrumental just because, I don't know, just in case I didn't really like the vocals when I was done with it. And it took like 5 minutes to chop it up and whatnot, so anyway, let me just dissect this track because as I say, this is dead simple. You don't really need to go too wild to make an okay product. So what I'll quickly now do is I'll play the project without the original track being played just so you can hear what exactly has been added, and it really isn't much at all. So obviously there's going to be nothing in the intro because it's pretty much that quiet synth, but very simple, very straightforward, and I would say this actually repeats throughout the entire track. Yeah. and then obviously the kick automation happening. But there is, I mean, you can check out the MIDI. It's all the same all the way through. Nothing overly complicated. So yeah, so first things first, I'll talk about the arrangement of the track. Annoyingly, in the drum and bass one, I cut up the original track and showed you exactly where I've moved stuff, which I haven't done for this one, so if you bear with me. So the original track, as you can see, well, this intro part here, which was this like choir synth type thing, in the original, I mean, this is the original sped up, but it only lasts, what, 4 bars before the vocal comes in. Might be worth listening to the original track as well, just to compare, because the original track is a fair bit slower, so it's more like... But anyway, irrelevant. So yeah, I've chopped this up and I've played around with it. I mean, there's parts you can see where I've put the instrumental in as opposed to going into a verse. Again, I just thought it helped with the flow of the track. I mean, dance music, good for DJing, good for mixing. As I already mentioned, made this tune for when my mates came over to mix on my decks. So with that in mind, I wanted a section where I could easily start bringing in another track if I wanted to. So yeah, if I quickly just bring up at the bottom. So yeah, as you can see, these parts here, why is it always doing that? All of these parts here are literally the first part. And we've got, this is probably the biggest chunk of the original track, which is a bit of the intro and going into the old, where is it? Going into the vocal / first verse. Got the breakdown, which I think is unedited. It looks unedited. And then chorus. But then instead of going into, is it a verse? Oh, okay, so this is actually from the end of the track. It'd have been good to have a bit more preparation, wouldn't it? Which explains, okay. So I've cut and shut it just so it fits the track better. Again, would have been useful for me to outline what parts of the track I've taken stuff from, but again, yeah, play around with the track to make things fit, and it goes to show you don't need to keep everything in order. Some people might like to. Me personally, I think if it helps with the flow of the track, do that, because flow is a very important element of music, which, well, at least with dance music, especially drum and bass, that's worth considering. So yeah, then it goes into this instrumental bit. Now again, oh dear, comes into this verse with slow tie. I did create a version. In the long version, I think I took him out, because I think the long version is what I actually used on my decks, and I was trying to double drop it with another tune. Obviously I'd made this so I could do what I like. Yeah, anyway, dragging on. So yeah, play around with the arrangement when you're making a bootleg, and I'm going to swiftly move on because I feel like I'm tripping up over myself. So onto the bass. Now on the bass channel, I've actually got nothing on the group channel, which if you've seen any of my previous videos or the previous drum and bass bootleg video, yeah, unheard of for me. But again, this is just a quick track thrown together. Anyone can do this, right? So on the bass channel, there's 3 instances of operator. Again, it's quite interesting because operator is something I don't really use in drum and bass. But when I remember at the time, I was like looking for like sort of like tips on how to make house music. John Summit made one on creating a rolling bass line or something, and he'd used operator, so I gave it a go. I don't think the result's too bad. So this bass channel consists of 1 instance of operator, which is acting as a kind of sort of subby track. Are these all going to? No. Okay, it's just the first and second. So we've got the first channel, got the second channel, and we've got the third channel. So I'll start with the second channel, which might sound a bit backwards, but this is simply a sub, as you can hear. Very basic operator patch. Got Flux Mini 2, which is doing the sidechaining LFO type thing. Same thing that something like LFO tool would do. I kind of got the main bass channel, which is just, again, rather basic operator patch. Cutting off some of the highs. What would that do? Yeah, okay, it's just cutting off some of those high frequencies above the sort of 300 hertz mark. Going into an amp, which is, again, just kind of changing that sound slightly. And then last but not least, a dimension expander, which I have left on too big a size and too big a mix, which would have been from my old laptop because I had the old instance of dimension expander, so I best save that because it's updated. Anyway, not the point, getting distracted. And then finally on this third channel, we've just kind of got what I would call like a sub thickener. It's not really a sub frequencies, but it's like, what's this? So from 120 hertz to what, like 300 hertz ish. Again, into an amp, chorus to give it some width. And both that channel and the main bass channel are going into an erosion, which is, again, just rounding off, so there's only some of those high frequencies coming through. This erosion trick is something I use a lot if you've seen any of my other videos. So yeah, won't go too much into detail on that, but something will probably pop up where you can watch more about this method, which I explain in more detail. Right, moving on from the bass channel, we have the effects channel. Now on this, there's barely anything. There is just one rewind here, and then one gunshot sound, which is there. Now, both of them, again, aren't particularly too needed when played with the original track because, again, the original track's got all these sounds happening, but I felt like it just fit the vibe because it's a bit more dancey. So if I just play them with them and out, so without, it's quite subtle, I think, but I think it just, I don't know, it just helps with the dancey vibe of the tune, I think, anyway. Same with there. Again, nothing in the original, but the little rewind, I don't know, just think it helps build in quite a short amount of time for that impact of the chorus or the drop or whatever you want to call it. Happens a couple more times there, which again, didn't particularly need it because in this, well, I say don't particularly need it. The original track does have these kind of, they're drums, but they're like toms, maybe kind of those African, I can't remember what they're called. Someone knows, please let me know in the comments because it's killing me. But yeah, I don't know, I just think, just it's the vibe of the track. Again here. Anyway, onto the gunshot. Again, wasn't overly needed, but it's really good at filling out space because the original does have a gunshot sound in quite not long after the vocals kick in, so there. So I don't know, it just felt appropriate to reuse that similar sound where it fits. So where it's here, just little sound fillers there. It does quite a job because there's nothing happening. I suppose it's the instrumental I've put on all three channels, but yeah, just helps fill space. And then finally we've got the drums. Now again, there is barely anything on this. There is a kick, which, I mean, I've got a slight amount of automation too in the part where slow ties vocals would be in. Can't be us, don't get stressed, just look to this. Or in the part where I've made it an instrumental. Just again, helps fit the track, I think. Yeah, it's kind of like almost acts as like a breakdown. And I don't think there's any more automation on the rest of this track now, not that I can see. The second channel on this, the drums, is literally a snare that I made years ago. I called it the Tech House snare. I don't know if it is actually that Tech House. But then again, not a tech house producer, not any form of house producer. I just like messing around. Sounded like it could fit a tech house track. It's just what I named it. And guess what? I used it in this track. Whether it's tech house or not, I don't know. But anyway, and then finally, there are two sort of housey loops from a splice. So this first one is, in fact, I tell a lie, this one's not from a housey loop at all. So this is actually a loop from a drum and bass pack. I think it's Drum Sound and Bassline Smith. So yeah, it's just these offbeat hats, and in this track all I've used is part of it. But anyway, and then finally there is this like very basic house loop, which more of it does get used when it drops. You get to hear the snare, but altogether very, very simple beat, nothing really much going on there at all. But then again, does it need it? I don't think so, or at least for the sort of track I was trying to make, it seemed to fit fine. I hope those of you watching this video that umming and ahhing about getting into production, whether it be making house music or drum and bass or whatever, watch this video and maybe think, yeah, I can do that, because that doesn't look too difficult at all, because that's the message I'm trying to push. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't take this sort of approach to all of my tunes. I mean, as I've mentioned, watch some of the other videos, you'll see a lot more channels, a lot more automation, a lot more variety, etc, etc. But yeah, this is just trying to convince people maybe to take that leap into production, maybe to give making a bootleg a go, maybe trying a different genre of music. But yeah, I feel like the moral of this video is pretty much the same as the other one, which is making house music bootlegs can be easy. Start with the right song and then add the right parts. If you made it this far in the video, massive thank you for watching. I said the other day that in 2025 I wanted to start putting, a bit more of a variety of musical content out on this channel. It's always good to experiment and try new things, potentially open up to new audiences, potentially open myself up to being a bit of a target for stepping on people's toes in certain music genres maybe. I don't know. I don't really know much about the house music scene at all. But what I would like to say is massive thank you for watching. If you found this content useful, please do consider liking, commenting, subscribing, all the generic YouTube stuff. If there's any sort of videos that you'd like to see, please do let me know down in the comments. And anyway, until the next video, I'll see you later.